হ্যালো ভিউয়ার্স, আজকে নতুন একটি বিষয় নিয়ে আমরা ডিসকাস করব। সেটি হচ্ছে মেথডস অফ ডাটা কালেকশন ইন দ্য স্ট্যাটিস্টিক্যাল ফিল্ড। উই হ্যাভ many times many people have fails in many problems in the collection of data. For this reason we discuss the methods of data collection. তো ভিউয়ার্স, আজকে আমাদের যে বিষয়টা আমরা ডিসকাস করব সেটি হচ্ছে মেথডস অফ ডাটা কালেকশন। মেথডস অফ ডাটা কালেকশনটা কী এবং সেই বিষয়টা নিয়ে আমরা পুরো বিষয়টা ডিসকাস করব। প্রথমে আসা যাক মেথডস অফ ডাটা কালেকশনটা। আসলে the methods of data collection are used in data collection. Different methods are used in data collection. They are personal interview, mail questionnaire, telephone interview, panel questionnaire, that is longitudinal data collection, and checklist. Now we consequently we discuss these methods of data collection. Firstly, we have to discuss the personal interview. Personal interview সেটা আসলে কি? All other things being equal, the personal interview is the most desirable. Personal interview is the most desirable. The viewers desirable methods of data collection from human population. In this method, interviewers are often employed and usually they call on the respondents and ask the questions or inquiries from a pre-printed schedule. The schedule is in the possession of the interviewer and he or she can explain to the respondent the meaning of any particular difficult question. Furthermore, the interviewer can use probing in an attempt to include the respondent to answer the questions when necessary. The interviewer can also arrange to call on the respondent at a time which is convenient for the respondent and thus avoid non-response due to not at home. Thus, personal interview methods makes it possible to get answer to difficult questions and record the answers in such a way so that they are in the desired form. In the third world countries like Bangladesh, perhaps the personal interview have no alternative as a method of data collection on issue of human population. The interview method is the most reliable method of data collection. Some disadvantages of this method are it is expensive to train and supervise the interviewers and arrange transport for them. It might be difficult to hear who have a personal makeup fitted to the task of meeting and persuading the interviewer, that is respondent. Now we have to discuss the mail questionnaire. We have to discuss the mail questionnaire. In this process, now what is mail questionnaire? In this method, questionnaire are sent to the respondent through mails or mass media and the respondent are requested to return the questionnaire after answering the questions in or inquiries in it. Questionnaire or inquiries of a questionnaire generally are simpler than those asked by the interviewer. This must be case in the respondent is to interpret the questions himself or herself. The main advantage of this method is that it can be used for a wide area of coverage deeply in comparison with the personal interview method. Now we have to discuss the telephone interview. Sometimes we might have an interest to estimate the daily newspaper subscriber, BTV audience and the likes. The data on these issues could be collected quickly and successfully by telephone interview method. Such a method might be satisfactory of getting crude estimates of the number of subscribers. For this reason, in Bangladesh, telephone interview method still is not feasible at all. Now the panel questionnaire. We have to discuss the panel questionnaire. Panel techniques means that the data are collected repeatedly from the same individuals. This method make it possible to measure the prevalence, incidence or trend of some particular events of our interest. It is continuously processed, which is one of its chief advantages in terms of follow-up studies. Ordinarily, there is some compensation for the participants, and if one or more members in the panel drop out of the same sample, statistical devices have been formulated for handling the problems. Although the panel technique is comparatively costlier, it is the utmost necessary for some important aspects in the field of health, population, medical science, and market researches. And lastly, the checklist. Lastly, we discuss the checklist of method of data collection. Sometimes for some particular studies, information is collected from recorded registers, usually obtained from the registry books of the relevant institute, that is institution, organization, or any other available sources. There are some other studies for which information is collected in both the ways, using the method of personal interview as well as the checklist for special purposes. So viewers, আমরা দেখলাম মেথড অফ ডাটা কালেকশনটা বিষয়টা, মেথড অফ ডাটা কালেকশন এবং মেথড অফ ডাটা কালেকশন কোন কোন প্রসেস ইনক্লুডেড, দ্যাট ইজ দিস প্রসেস ইজ পার্সোনাল ইন্টারভিউ, মেইল কোশ্চেনারি, টেলিফোন ইন্টারভিউ, panel questionnaire, that is this method is used for longitudinal data collection, and lastly is checklist. So viewers, পরবর্তীতে নেক্সট ভিডিওতে আমরা এই বিষয়টি আরও ডিটেইলস ডিসকাস করব। তো আজকে এ পর্যন্তই।